Hi, I'm Sandi Genovese, and today we are creating what's called a star book. And you'll see the reason why eventually, but first I just want to show it to you. It's going to be a thank you card or book, and so it says thanks a bunch, and I've got just punches I've used to create flowers for the front cover. It's held closed with a ribbon, but before I open it, if you're going to send this through the mail to somebody and you want to make sure they know what to do, how to open it, this is a little sketch. And all you need to do is take a photo of your opened up project and then trace with tracing paper over the photo in order for you to get what looks like a sketch that matches your actual drawing. And then I've even written that what you want to do is you're going to untie the bow, and it says to pull the front cover around until it meets the back cover. So you pull it around until it meets the back cover, and then you're going to tie this into another bow. And the bow that was holding it closed initially is now going to be the bow that's holding it opened. This is where you need another pair of hands to sort of hold it. I could use a clip to hold it, but that's all right. It'll be held together well enough. So you can see that that ribbon now is going to hold this little book open. And now I can really turn it so you can see that all of these are slightly different, but they all just feature photos. They all have an element that's hanging. It could be a sticker like that dragonfly. This is actually made with just circle punches, the little ladybug. But this star book has 4 layers. They're typically called a star book because normally you have 5, and I'll show you another variation in a little bit where it has 5. And when you look at it from the front like this, the 5 looks like a 5-pointed star, and hence the name a star book. So what we're going to do first is we're going to see how to create these layers inside. And what I did was I started with paper. My paper is 6 by 7.5. And what I'm going to do is first start by just folding it in half. And that simply, I've created the back layer. The next layer, it still has to be 6 inches tall, but it has to be more shallow in order to create dimension. So my next layer is a 6 by 6 square. And if you look here, you'll see what I did. Because you're going to have to create 4 or maybe 5 of these, instead of measuring every one, I find it simpler to just take a strip of paper, in this case that's 5/8 inches wide, and lay it down, and with the pencil mark, and then slide it around to the next edge until it's flush with the end, and then with your pencil mark it, and then do the same thing, slide it around until it's flush with this side, and then with your pencil mark it. It changes when I got to the bottom, and I made the bottom fatter because it's where I want to be able to attach the flower. So I want a nice sturdy section that's fat enough that I can have a lot of the flower stuck. So this one is 1 inch wide, and I'm going to just cut this. Once you have this cut and you use it to lay down and mark, it means that it's going to be really quick to go around and mark 4 or 5 of these layers. Once you've marked it, then choose your preferred method. You either can make an X and when get in there with scissors and cut it out. You can use your X-Acto blade to cut around the edges. I use my Fiskars trimmer that lets me go in and then cut my straight edges. Either way, you're going to cut that square out so that you end up with this. And once you have it with the center pulled out, now you want to go ahead and fold it in half, and be sure to fold it in half with the fat edge, the one that's 1 inch at the bottom. So folding this in half, and then hold this together and this. So now you have this, and when I combine it with what will be the back, you can see once I'm going to be placing adhesive just on the side, on both sides, and once I line this up with this edge and then take this and line this up with this edge, this is how you're creating the dimensionality. Before we do it, it's easiest to add the flowers to the back before we stick it together. So let's talk about those flowers. What I've done is I've taken and I've just kind of laid out on the table Lots of options. I've got punches, I've got die cuts, I've some that I just cut by hand. Lots of flower choices. And the flowers are going to get attached to a stem. So if you look here, you can see I've already gone ahead and created a few. Even something like circle punches are all I use to create what looks like this flower. And then I would even go back, if I had it handy, let's see if this pen, when the flowers, the circles get smaller, you can even add the centers just with a marking pen and add more detail all the way to the tip of this guy. So you end up with the flowers and the stems. You can see that the stem is just a piece of green cut in an arc with just a leaf shape that I've just hand cut with scissors, fastened it over the top. And what I'm going to do is place adhesive on the stem itself, because I'm not sure if I put it on the flower where to put it in order to make it match. And then I'm going to, I think I want it about like so. And notice that I have a little of the stem sticking up, so I'm going to trim it off so that it doesn't show. And you can see how that way I've created 3 of the flowers. You're going to need lots of flowers. So when you're doing the flowers, it's kind of fun to play and make all different flowers, all different colors. Then you're going to take the flowers and attach it so that they attach to the back side of this green section. So I'll take, and I'm going to place, I mean, you could put them on the front, but I think they look better if they're coming out from behind. So I'm going to place adhesive on the front of all 3 of these flowers. I usually use my tweezers so I can get in there more easily. And then decide how I want to arrange them. Do I want these 2 together? I know I think I want them like this, to face like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll place the white one roughly, I want it about there. And the orange one, I think I want it about there. And the purple one, I think I want it more of an angle, so I think I might put it like so. Notice that when I fold it, I don't have to worry about any folds. So I'm going to go ahead and really press down and get those nice and fastened. The other thing that I've done is I've created the part that hangs from the top. I like to do this part at the very end because I find it gets in my way when I'm trying to attach it. So we'll see how to attach the ladybug or dragonfly, whatever you use at the end. At this point, now I'm ready to go ahead and place this inside. You're going to make 4 or 5 of these, depending on if you want a 5-pointed star book or you want 4 points to your star. I'm going to place my adhesive all along this edge. And you need lots of adhesive, but only in the actual side strip. So now I'm going to just line this up with the sides and the top and the bottom and press it down. Remember, you're not putting any adhesive on the bottom. That has to be adhesive free so that it creates that dimensionality. Now I'm placing adhesive on the back side of the other side of this green section. And instead of trying to pull this over, really all I need to do is close this and close this and press. And when you open it up, you can see how you're getting this. At this point, now I think it's easier to go ahead and attach the ladybug. If you look here at the table, first you can see that I've got 2 black circles, a smaller one and a larger one, and before I stacked them together, I trapped thread in between the layers. And then I took a red circle that was the same, this is the same size actually, as the black larger one, and I'm going to just trim it in half, or roughly in half, it doesn't need to be exact. And I'm going to place adhesive on it. You know what, normally when I have to put adhesive on something tiny like this, it's easiest to take a Post-it note and, where's my adhesive? I haven't done that one yet. I thought I put adhesive on some of this, but I don't feel it. The sticky part of the Post-it note, this isn't. This is where it's sticky. So that's going to hold those in place long enough for me to add my adhesive. And now it'll pull right off of the sticky portion of the note, and I'm going to just line this up with the red one that's on the other side. Do the same thing with this guy. Line it up. And then you would just take a black marker and go back. I'm not going to stop and do very many, but put a few dots that really help identify it as a ladybug. And then, because it's now hanging, I'm going to just take a piece of tape and I'll hang this so that it hangs however deeply I want it to go. Right now it's plenty long, and I'm going to turn this around in just a minute so you can see what I'm doing. But what I've got is a piece of tape that is on the inside, and I'm using the tape to hold the thread, and I'm going to just, as I look at it from this side, it would look better if it hung further, so I'm going to pull it down until it's about where I want it, and then I'll trim off any extra. And that's how you create the hanging element. Once you've created either 4 or 5 of these sections, then you're going to attach them together. So pretend, I haven't actually created all of these, but pretend like all of the flowers and all these insides are really attached. I'm going to place adhesive on this section and attach it to this. And that's how I attach these two together. And then I'm going to put adhesive on the back of this and attach it to the front of the next one. You just keep attaching the back of one to the front of the next one until you get all the way around either 4 or 5 sections. The final element is going to be to decorate the cover. And what I've done is I've taken just these pieces and I've cut and I've added with a watermark ink pad some design to what will be the cover. So if I take and put patterned paper on the top, and I even have another like strip of paper to soften the edge between where these two, where these two meet. And then what I've done on my original is I've placed this, and if I go back on this guy and I untie the bow so that we can look at that cover again, you'll see that what I've done here is just taken more of the flowers and punches in order to add this, and then I've handwritten thanks a bunch. So once you have all of these elements decorated for what will be the cover, now comes a decision. You need to decide, do you want to use ribbon? If you want to use ribbon as a way to hold the book closed and then open, before you attach this to this first page and before you attach anything to the cover to the back page, you're going to want to take your ribbon. I don't have any ribbon here, but I'll use this. And you're going to use packing tape, really strong tape, to place the ribbon in between, tape it down, and then take your cover and fasten it right over the top. And then of course this would get cut off, and you'll have the ribbon to the front and a ribbon to the back. What I have switched to doing, because it's just so much easier, is I have switched to using paper clips. So let me first show you, if you had attached the ribbon, and look, you've attached all of the fronts to the backs. You can see how that, like I showed you when we first started, how it pulls around into the book. This is, as I said, using 4, but it's called a star book because usually you use 5. So here's one, and here's where the example where you can see the paper clip. Here's a really fun decorative paper clip, and I've got candles on the front because this is a birthday book. So inside I've got stars and candles and party blowers, but this time instead of 4, when you pull it around, there's 5, and all I'm going to do is take this back cover, slide it under the paper clip, and the clip now is what's going to hold it open. And see how when you look at it from this angle, it now starts to look like a 5-pointed star, which is how it got its name. These fun little arrow clips, oh my gosh, at stores like Staples and Office Depot, Office Max, they have lots of paperclip options. I've just laid some on the table here for you to get a clue, but it's not hard to find one that's kind of fun that would in all likelihood sort of coordinate with the theme of whatever book you chose. So whether you have 4 or 5, and whether you do birthday or in this case floral, it doesn't matter. It's really fun, but a star book, it's the perfect place to display a bunch of spring flowers.